For ages, China has held the title of the world's factory, and it's not hard to see why. Just take a moment to reflect on the clothes you're wearing, the gadgets in your hand, and even the items in your home. Chances are, many of them were either entirely made in China or underwent some manufacturing process there. It's difficult to discuss global manufacturing without mentioning China, or at least, that used to be the case. Recently, China's manufacturing sector has encountered unexpected challenges, causing concern among investors and a sharp decline in demand. The very catalyst that propelled China to its wealth and fame as the world's factory is now eroding beneath its feet, due to a combination of factors. This crisis not only threatens China's GDP and global standing but also jeopardizes its position as the manufacturing hub of the world. China's manufacturing crisis has the potential to reshape the entire global power dynamics. This is not an exaggeration, it's a fact. So, join me as we delve deep into the intricacies of China's manufacturing crisis. For as long as most of us can remember, China has been a manufacturing juggernaut. In fact, this one country is responsible for almost 30% of all manufacturing worldwide. Yes, you heard it right. China alone accounts for nearly a third of the manufacturing that occurs on our beloved planet Earth. But don't just take my word for it. This data comes directly from the World Economic Forum and the United Nations Statistics Division. In 2018, China's manufacturing output constituted a staggering 28% of the global total, placing it more than 10 percentage points ahead of the United States, which used to hold the title of the world's largest manufacturing sector until China surpassed it in 2010. During its remarkable boom, China seized the opportunity and took off at an unprecedented pace. As more factories were built, the manufacturing sector began contributing increasingly to China's GDP. By 2018, the value added by Chinese manufacturing amounted to almost $4 trillion, accounting for nearly 30% of the country's total GDP. Comparing this figure to the United States, where manufacturing contributes a mere 11% to the nation's GDP, the disparity is immense. Admittedly, part of the reason for this discrepancy is that the US outsourced a significant portion of its manufacturing work to China. However, it's not just the US. Numerous nations entrusted China with their manufacturing needs, prompting many large companies to set up shop within China's borders. Now, you might wonder, why China and not their own home nations? Well, several factors contributed to China's rise as a manufacturing powerhouse. These factors include low labor costs, robust business ecosystems, a relaxed regulatory environment, favorable tax and duty policies, and competitive currency practices. When combined, China became an unbeatable global factory, a melting pot of manufacturing prowess. However, while China's ascent in manufacturing accelerated, it also led to the decline of several local industries and the closure of factories in other countries. Now that we've established China's undisputed position as the manufacturing hub of the world and the factors that propelled it there, let's dive into how this crisis unfolded. Understanding how China leveraged its global position will provide insight into the significance of this manufacturing crisis. There's more at stake here than just economic troubles. So, let's explore the story of China's manufacturing journey together. The CCP's zero-COVID policy was an intense pursuit to eliminate the virus, but it ended up punishing its own citizens. China faced a downward spiral as it attempted to reopen factories while the rest of the world had moved on. The aftermath of this disaster left China with a daunting mess to clean up. Furthermore, the pandemic exposed the heavy reliance of multinational companies on Chinese manufacturing. This realization came as a shock to many, as they discovered that everything, from raw materials to production facilities, was deeply intertwined with China's supply chain. In an effort to rectify this vulnerability and avoid being caught off guard in the future, numerous multinational companies began searching for alternative manufacturing locations. This is one of the key reasons why China is currently facing a manufacturing crisis. The trend of companies moving away from China gained momentum during the height of the US-China trade war. The conflicts and harsh measures imposed by both countries took a toll on companies from both sides. Consequently, many major companies started relocating their operations outside of China to ensure their survival. The impact of this shift was significant, with China's export business stagnating in 2019 for the first time in decades. The decline continued as more major companies left the country, leading to an estimated 40% of companies relocating or considering relocation of their manufacturing out of China. This information was gathered from a 2019 survey on tariffs conducted by OMCOM Shanghai and the Chinese government, which revealed that companies like Hasbro and Nike desired to leave the country. While there are push factors driving companies away from China, there are also pull factors attracting them to other countries. The shift in manufacturing from China can be attributed to these factors. The allure of low labor costs in China, which contributed to its dominance in the manufacturing space, is fading. Rising wages and escalating real estate costs have led to an increase in production expenses, making China less competitive in terms of cost. As the country develops and transitions from a developing nation to a developed one, the cost of living and wages naturally rise. Countries such as Vietnam and Indonesia have emerged as favorable destinations for manufacturing due to their significantly lower production costs compared to China. These nations offer an attractive opportunity for mass production at a lower expense. In fact, over a third of China's lost exports to the US market have been absorbed by countries like Vietnam, India, and Thailand, which excel in producing goods at a much lower cost. China's strategy for the future of its manufacturing industry involves a shift towards high-value, tech-focused sectors. The Made in China 2025 strategy aims to transform traditional, low-margin manufacturing into innovative sectors such as advanced engineering, IoT, and smart appliances. While this direction may align with China's long-term plans, it poses challenges in the short term as companies grapple with uncertainty and massive sector changes. To mitigate supply chain risks, major companies have diversified and expanded their manufacturing hubs to other geographies, thereby reducing China's monopoly in the manufacturing chain. China's manufacturing crisis is further exacerbated by internal pressures. The trade war, declining local industries, and growing unemployment have pushed developed countries to offer subsidies and tax incentives to encourage their companies to bring manufacturing back home. This trend of reshoring or relocating production to other countries has gained traction, with examples such as the tax credits proposed by the Trump administration to incentivize U.S. companies to move their manufacturing facilities from China back to the United States. Japan's stimulus package also aims to support manufacturers in bringing production home or to other countries, highlighting a global effort to reduce reliance on China and alleviate supply chain risks. Beyond the push and pull factors driving the shift in manufacturing away from China, there are also geopolitical and strategic considerations at play. Countries like the United States and its allies have become increasingly concerned about China's growing influence and economic dominance. They view the heavy reliance on China for critical supply chains as a vulnerability that needs to be addressed. The COVID-19 pandemic served as a wake-up call for many nations, highlighting the risks of relying too heavily on a single country for essential goods and materials. As a result, there has been a growing consensus among governments and businesses to diversify their supply chains and reduce dependence on China. The ongoing trade tensions between the United States and China have also contributed to the manufacturing shift. The imposition of tariffs and trade restrictions created uncertainty and additional costs for businesses operating in China. Many companies have sought to mitigate these risks by diversifying their manufacturing operations across multiple countries, including countries in Southeast Asia, South Asia, and even Africa. In addition to the United States, other countries such as Japan, South Korea, and European nations have also taken steps to reduce their dependence on Chinese manufacturing. They have implemented policies and incentives to encourage domestic production or sourcing from alternative countries. This trend has further accelerated the manufacturing crisis in China. It's important to note that while China is facing challenges in its traditional manufacturing sector, it is simultaneously investing heavily in advanced technologies and emerging industries. The Chinese government has been promoting initiatives such as Made in China 2025 and China Standards 2035 to foster innovation, upgrade manufacturing capabilities, and become a global leader in industries like artificial intelligence, robotics, electric vehicles, and high-tech manufacturing.